If you clicked on this video because you love Jim Henson, that already tells you something about you. You probably are inspired not just by nostalgia, but the way he saw the world, his whole philosophy.
It's a basic and very human philosophy that people are basically good. And that's the message that Jim Henson wants to get across with his Muppets.
And that's what I want to talk about today.
Yeah, because the man who made the Muppets is clearly a deep philosophical thinker.
Jim wasn't just a puppeteer or creator of beloved characters. He was someone who believed curiosity and play aren't silly things just for kids. They are essential for creativity and life in general. That kind of thinking feels especially rare right now. To him, experimenting was the point. Trying things was the point. And that philosophy didn't just give us the Muppets or Sesame Street. It reshaped how we think about creativity, storytelling, and how we all learn.
Oh boy, I think I know where this is going. This better not be too schmaltzy, Lexi.
Only the exact right amount. The puppets for television. It might be weird to think about now, looking back at Jim Henson's career, but he never set out to be the world's most famous puppeteer.
The father of about 300 different Muppets, for whom all the world is a stage.
He didn't even set out to work with puppets in the first place. He didn't even grow up watching puppet shows or playing with them. The whole thing was just something he decided to do one day.
Wait. You're telling me he fell into puppets? Who does that by accident?
What he really wanted, ever since he was a little boy, was to work in television.
Right, so the logical way to get into television is puppets?
I'm getting to it, Eli. I promise this comes together. When he was a kid, TV was still brand new, and the fact that he could look into a screen and see something happening somewhere else absolutely blew his mind. He saw this as an amazing new way to tell stories and make art. He wanted to be part of a new frontier like this. To a kid in rural Mississippi, something like this could bring the whole world into his living room, and that feeling stuck with him. It shaped everything that came after, including how he stumbled into puppetry in the first place.
Okay, but how?
He heard a TV station was looking for a puppeteer. He had zero experience with puppets, but I mean, why not, right? He researched puppets, painted scenery, built puppets out of whatever scraps he had lying around, wrote material, auditioned, and got the job. That's where it all started.
You answered one question, but now I'm more confused. How? How did he get the job as puppeteer if he had no clue what he was doing? That doesn't make any sense. Can I just go run out and get puppet show on TV too?
Well, what you have to keep in mind about Jim Henson is that he was first and foremost a creator already. He was going to college as a production designer. He knew his way around things like film and making TV. He did research on how to get started and gave it his all. The result wasn't a professional polished puppet show, but I think that was part of his charm. He wasn't an industry professional, so he came at it from a completely different direction than most puppeteers would have. He was full of ideas and had this playful, innocent quality to where it felt like he was having fun doing it. So it was fun to watch. I think that's what got him the job. He had this show called Sam and Friends, late at night, 11:30 p.m., which is a strange time for a puppet show if you think about it. This is probably why he never thought of what he was doing as a show for kids.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I would think a kid's show would be on before bedtime for them. That's gotta be on a talk show level late night TV.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What is wrong with the man? I thought 60 Minutes was a high-class show.
So it's already a puppet show for grown-ups?
Yeah, and that really showed in the episodes. They were these live 5-minute improv comedy sketches with musical numbers, with him and his partner Jane, later his wife. He was basically showing up to work to play. And honestly, the energy is what made it so watchable. None of it was part of this big master plan. He just saw an opportunity to try something new, gave it a shot, and tried to make it fun every time he did it, even though he didn't totally know what he was doing. And it worked. Sam and Friends had a strong following. That was the brilliance of it. He showed up to play, and gave that playfulness his all. People really responded to it. Play as a creative method. When Jim Henson first started making puppets, he didn't go out and buy expensive professional materials. He used what he already had.
Little cork for the nose, thumbtacks for the eyes.
Most famously, he cut up one of his mother's old coats, cut ping pong in half, to create the very first version of Kermit.
That is true, yes. The coat was slightly more of a turquoise green than Kermit is right now. And it was my mother's coat and a ping pong ball, which I cut in half to make the eyes.
Probably his most iconic character of all time. And originally just a spontaneous little scrap puppet.
That's gotta be the most effective Bob Ross level happy accident I've ever heard of.
Sure, he would find him over time, and at first Kermit wasn't even a frog, more of a lizard.
Oh, that feels sacrilegious to say. He is Kermit the Frog.
To me, at first Kermit embodies the idea of done is better than perfect. You can always play with it until it's great later.
And since then, Kermit has evolved, and he's changed around a lot. This is the way Kermit looks nowadays.
Aha, there's Kermit.
Hello there.
Kermit is iconic not because he's complex, but because he's simple, which made him incredibly expressive.
Read my lips. Alligators.
Since the fabric fit Henson's hands so well, he could form all these great facial expressions. Another happy accident, born out of making things up as he went along.
Kermit was so iconic, he outshined Sam, the puppet, in the title.
No one quite remembers what happened to Sam, but one of his friends, Kermit, skyrocketed to international stardom.
Well, Sam I know is Sam Eagle.
A lot of Henson's innovations happened the same way. For example, he started putting monitors next to the performers so they can see exactly what the audience sees.
When we're working, our entire reality is on the screen. You are performing, and at the same time, you're seeing your performance exactly like the audience does.
Sounds like when Let's Play streamers have second monitors.
Yeah, but Henson did it first, and it made a huge difference. Puppeteers work above their heads, so they can't see anything they're doing. The monitors changed that. It could let them adjust performances in real time, and make eye contact with the camera. Suddenly the puppets felt like real actors. There's even footage of Henson directing entire scenes just by watching those tiny screens while performing from underneath a table, behind a wall, or in a literal barrel underwater.
A barrel underwater?
Yeah, ever wonder how he had Kermit acting in the water in the Muppet movie? When he sings Rainbow Connection playing the banjo sitting on a log? Jim was in a huge metal drum submerged into water, right underneath. It took 12 minutes to unfold Henson out of that thing. But to him it was worth it to get the shot.
I believe that. He was a tall, skinny guy. He must have taken the whole suffer-free art thing a little too seriously.
Must have been worth it because Rainbow Connection is one of the most iconic Muppet songs ever filmed. Might seem crazy, but it was actually a really simple, effective solution for a really great result. And this playful simplicity kept working. After Sam and Friends, he was doing a huge series of commercials. Very short, very fast turnaround ads, where he didn't have much time to get a point across. So he leaned into making them chaotic and funny. Explosions, Muppets eating everything, Kermit getting thrown off buildings. He basically had a child's sense of humor.
Okay, hey, rude.
I don't mean that as an insult at all, actually. It's actually what made the ad so effective. He used those few seconds of airtime to do something wild, memorable, and fun. So much of Henson's success came from his improvised, chaotic play, instead of overthinking. And as a chronic overthinker myself, I know we can all learn from that.
That's a huge understatement. Seriously, if we could run energy off your extra worry thinking power, we'd be able to power our entire block.
Play wasn't childish to him, or rather, it was childish, but that was his strength.
We interrupt this videotape to bring you a Muppet News Flash.
Hello, my beautiful audience of Jim Henson lovers.
Hello out there in TV land.
You made it halfway through the video. Woohoo! You know what you should do to celebrate? Why don't you go hit that subscribe button? Lexi doesn't think asking in the middle of a video is going to work. Prove her wrong for me, okay? It'll be fun.
Whimsy and philosophy. People could describe Jim Henson's work as whimsical. And it is.
Jim didn't see the limitations of the puppets. All he saw was the possibilities.
But not in a way that's escapist or disconnected from reality. His whimsy had intention. He wasn't trying to avoid reality, but to give us a new way to see and engage with it. He genuinely believed that humor and imagination helps us understand the world, and that they can teach people of all ages how to see things differently. And I couldn't agree more. I don't care if we're talking about an audience of preschoolers or adults. We can learn and connect a lot more through a comedy than a lecture. This really comes through in Sesame Street. Like I said earlier, he didn't see himself as a children's performer. In fact, he thought he was completely unqualified for that.
Well, obviously, being underqualified hasn't mattered so far in his career.
But his approach turned out to be perfect for kids. One of the biggest reasons for that is because he treated them like a real audience and refused to talk down to them. After years of short-form commercials,
Oh, who needs it?
he loved the chance to play endlessly without worrying about budget constraints or marketing. Commercial work had a lot of visibility, but he didn't really enjoy it.
Yeah, he can only explode his Muppets so many times before that probably got old.
Sesame Street basically let him loose in a creative sandbox where he could make those experimental, childlike pieces. If you want to hear me talk a lot more about that, You should check out my Sesame Street video after this one.
Guaranteed to get at least one song from your childhood stuck in your head.
He believed in humor and kindness as meaningful tools, and he wove those ideas into everything he made. He was a very altruistic creator, and I think that speaks to why we love everything he makes so much. Why so many different types of people can resonate with it. It gives us that feeling, it has that sort of genuine innocence to it that is still contagious. Later, he created Fraggle Rock, as this culmination of everything he'd learned. A show designed as a global peace metaphor. He often talked about wanting people to love each other because of their differences, not despite them.
Makes sense. This is the same guy who created It's Not Easy Being Green.
I'm green. It'll do fine. It's beautiful.
Exactly, a simple little frog song with a message everyone instinctively understood. Don't judge someone based on the color of their skin, including yourself. Henson's work was childlike in its curiosity, not naive in a regressive way. His whimsy wasn't an escape from reality, it was a lens to engage with it. He didn't want to run away from the world into his imagination, but to use his imagination to make the world better for all of us. He felt called to that.
Felt.
Reinvention and risk. Henson probably reached the height of his mainstream success during The Muppet Show. After 5 seasons, even though things were still going strong, he ended it. He felt he'd done everything he wanted to do. Time to move on.
Oh yeah, sure, multi-million-dollar idea that I own. But I'm bored of all of that. Time to move on. Crazy.
Most people would have kept writing that way for years.
Yeah, me included.
Not Henson. He was always hungry to make new things. This is where he shifted dramatically into fantasy filmmaking with The Dark Crystal.
That's the one that gave Odd Ones Out nightmares, right?
Not my cup of tea. I feel like the pacing was a little slow, but visually stunning and innovative. And Labyrinth, which bombed originally, but is genuinely fantastic in my opinion.
You'd think the David Bowie movie would have done better in theaters. Go figure.
I think that one reached cult classic status, which made him very happy. These movies were such a massive change from his early work, but he brought everything he'd learned with him. They were basically the Muppets, but with a more ambitious vision, and increasingly complex technology.
Weren't you just going on about how great it is that he kept stuff simple? What happened to that?
And I stand by that. Starting with simplicity helped him build complexity on top of it.
And it's interesting, things have gotten very high-tech, in some ways, and he's still probably the simplest puppet that I'm operating, and but simple is still okay,
It was like learning arithmetic before diving into calculus. He was like a mad scientist with an endless hunger to see what he could put together to bring his vision to life. Almost everything in those films had to be invented on the fly, including the fully remote controlled character Hoggle in Labyrinth.
Well, Hoggle is certainly the most complicated puppet creature we've ever built. It's the most technically elaborate face because we've put about 18 motors in there.
You don't get to that level of innovation from playing it safe. It mirrors his early decision to leave Sesame Street to make The Muppet Show, though he did still stay involved and help out when he could, not wanting to abandon them entirely. He didn't want to be boxed in as the guy who makes stuff for preschoolers. He wanted to be known as an artist, as an experimental filmmaker, and an innovator. The limit did not exist. Making that jump sure was hard though. I'll have to make a video on the Muppets, and specifically on The Muppet Show, very soon, because getting that show made was a wild ride. Absolutely no one wanted to make that thing.
Yeah, there's a reason for that. Did you know he tried to call it Sex and Violence with the Muppets?
Yeah, that might have been an overcorrection on his part to the whole "you make stuff for preschoolers" thing that he was trying to change. Legacy as innovation. A lot of videos about Jim Henson end on his passing, which was tragic, but I'd rather focus on what we can learn from him.
Yeah, no one came here to be sad. It's a puppet show.
I honestly think he'd prefer that too. He didn't care about being admired as a person. He cared about people getting something out of his work. It was always about the art for him. He pushed creatives, including his team and generations who came after him, to try things, to be open to mistakes, to use what you have around you. He believed creativity thrives on curiosity, generosity, and play. No one creates ideas better than an inner child, and they have the most fun with it anyway. He would tell us to try new things. Experiment leads to discovery.
It's fun. It's a challenge to try to create a reality.
Sure, you can play it safe and get decent results, but sometimes you need to look in a new direction, embrace the chaos, and see what happens.
Yeah, Lexi, stop overthinking things. Make videos faster. Jim Henson says so.
For those of you who are artists and creatives like me, I think that's what Henson would want us to take from him. Let your inner child go wild. Let yourself explode with ideas. Don't hold back. And do it with intention and love. You can genuinely change the world that way. And for those of you who don't think of yourselves as creative, I think the same thing still applies. Don't be afraid to try something new, even if you don't think you'll be good at it. Play around just to see what happens. You might surprise yourself. Henson would want us all to stay curious and keep playing, at any age. Honestly, the smartest people always do. That's all I've got on Jim Henson today, so I'll see you in the next one.
Bye, guys.
Bye.